Great, thank you. Next question. This one I'm still forming the question, and it's not so much a question but a statement that I'm hoping that you can expound on. I've gotten a real sense recently that there are less physical things and there are more things that are not physical. There's more air than there is anything, and really...
And more energy.
And more energy, yes. And in watching myself, when I'm, if I'm angry or upset, I'm closing off my air intake. It's very clear to me that I'm doing that. I work with children. I see the kids until they're red when they're upset. And it's given me a real sense of, is taking in air, is that taking in source energy?
Well, source energy doesn't come through the air. Source energy is vibrational. But when you focus on breathing, you're not focusing on things that are restricting your vibration. Here's the easiest way to hear it. You vibrate here in this pure positive energy place, like the cork bobbing on the water. You can hold the cork under the water, which is false and not who you are. But when you let go of the cork, it's going to bob right back up. It's natural for you to be up here. So when you distract yourself from whatever's holding you down here, you naturally bob back up there. And so we teach meditation because when you quiet your mind, your cork floats. When you appreciate, your cork floats. When you breathe on purpose, it takes concentration to breathe that air in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Esther found us that first day by focusing on her breathing. It's the first time she'd ever meditated. First time she ever meditated, she sat and just let her air go out and her air come in, and she focused upon it so powerfully that she distracted herself from every vibration that was lower and slower and connected with us on her first day of meditation. It took 9 months of meditation for her to get up to speed where she could really begin translating. But she met us fully on that first day, you see. And so we teach meditation because, frankly, it's just easier to teach you to have no thought than to have pure positive thought. We would encourage a sitting every day for 15 minutes if you can find it, and just breathe. Breathe. Just sit with the intent of breathing. Breathe as much air into your lungs as you can, and when you think they're full, still breathe more in. And when you think they're full, still breathe more in. And when you think they're full, still breathe more in. Then let it out slowly and enjoy it as it goes. And then do it again. In and out, just breathe. And eventually you'll discover that, like when you run, runners talk about being in the zone. Well, they're running, they have another intention, which is to move their body from place to place. But in the process of running like that, they begin breathing. In other words, it's the distraction from things that are holding them vibrationally apart that is really at the heart of all of this better feeling, you see.
So it's more about the no thought than it is about the breathing.
It's more about the changing of your vibration than it is about the air. But the air is helpful in the changing of vibration because it takes concentration. In other words, we think it would be an interesting thing. We're not going to do it. But if we just were silent for 15 minutes and encouraged you all to breathe, just breathe, you would find it to be one of the harder things that you've done today. To just sit and deliberately breathe air in and out, in and out. In other words, you don't need to think about breathing, but when you do think about breathing, you will find that it is a concentration that you're not accustomed to. Because most of you are not accustomed to holding your thought in any particular place. Most of you offer most of your vibration in response to what you're observing. So if what you're observing makes you feel good, all the better. But if what you're observing makes you feel bad, and that's why most of you are up and down and all around in your thoughts, because you're observing all kinds of different things. Now, law of attraction does not allow your range to be too broad. In other words, in the things that get your attention day after day after day, you develop a sort of pattern or groove part on the emotional scale. In other words, it's uncommon, although it does happen, for you to be joyous and depressed regularly. Esther would say that her low end is usually overwhelmment. And her high end, of course, is passion and joy. And she's more often on the passion and joy end than she is on the overwhelmment end, but she rarely dips much below that. And so her set point is more up here in belief and knowing and feeling good. And so the majority of her life that comes by law of attraction reflects that vibration. everything about everyone's life reflects where their averages are on the emotional scale. And of course, it's possible to feel joyous about money, as you said, and worried about a child, maybe, or angry about something that your neighbor did, and it depends on how much airtime each of those subjects are getting, which causes your sort of average vibration. So somebody who's just angry all the time is a vibrational match to a certain set of diseases, while someone who's just optimistic, joyful all the time is a match to a certain kind of bodily conditions, while someone who's overwhelmed all the time is subject to a certain kind of bodily conditions. In other words, you get so that you can understand not only why everything is happening to you, but as you are privy to the moods and attitudes of those who surround you, it's not hard to figure out why they're getting everything that they're getting. When something gets your attention and you focus on it for a little while and it activates that vibration within you, now law of attraction is going to bring more things like that. That was Jerry's pronouncement to Esther when the water was on the kitchen floor. Esther said, "Isn't this interesting?" And Jerry's words were, "It must be your point of attraction." And Esther said, "I guess. I accept it. I guess that it is." And it certainly was Esther that had been feeling like that. In other words, it was not a match to the way Jerry had been flitting around. He had been a happy bugger.
Okay, last one. And it goes right with the opening, in that being a purposeful co-creator and then getting something that doesn't feel good, and sometimes feeling, blaming myself for that. But my dominant belief in that is that the universe knows better than I do.
Well, it does, certainly. But an even better belief to be shooting for and reminding yourself of until you absolutely know it is that things are always working out for you. In other words, we told the story about Esther because we want you to understand how really silly it is for anything to get you down. Because the solution is only a vibrational improvement away. You've come to believe so much in the power of circumstances. In other words, the war in the Middle East, what's going on with this administration, what's happening with the economy, what's happening with things that feel out of my control or even things that are closer to me that I feel that I ought to control. When you finally get it, that your improved feeling is only a thought away. A thought away. In other words, you don't want to try to jump all the way. You have to move up the emotional scale. But Esther was astonished with all that she knows that it took 10 minutes for her to go from feeling so bad to feeling wonderful. It was such a short trip. All it required was focus. Now, granted, she's played the game a few times, so she knows how to play the game. It wasn't her first time of doing it. Rather than your tendency, we heard it from you just now, and it certainly was Esther's too, to beat up on yourself for not creating the way you want to or for feeling bad. And we don't want you to beat up on yourself for feeling bad. We want you to pat yourself on the back for being aware that you feel bad and for being aware that you're moving in the direction of feeling better. You see, no matter what's happened and no matter where you are in relationship with what life has caused you become, Source is over here calling you toward what it has become because of what you've been living. And what happens with most of you is you expect the call of Source to sound like angels and harps. You don't expect it to sound like revenge and anger and frustration and overwhelmment. But if you're in despair, all of those emotions are improved emotions on your way to feeling better, you see. And so what happens is, so many people, just in a sort of natural way, in their feeling of powerlessness, they will find anger. And as they find that anger, they, if they stop to think about it, would acknowledge, hey, I can breathe again. I'm feeling a little better. This anger is an improvement for me. But then many of them make that mistake that you were making. You let somebody out there notice that you're angry, and then they make a judgment about the appropriateness or the inappropriateness of your anger, and then you turn right around and go back to despair. Where if you could be angry and be proud of it, In other words, we'd like you to jump into that breath of fresh air that revenge will give you. And hopefully move into anger before you act on revenge, but what the heck, go for it. Because when you consciously acknowledge, I feel better in this thought, now you know you can feel better in this thought. And now you can feel better in this thought. And that's really taking an emotional journey. And we want you to understand that when you show yourself how to take an emotional journey, you show yourself how to close that gap. You show yourself how to change your point of attraction. You show yourself how to begin offering a signal that is going to attract different results by way of law of attraction. Law of attraction is responding to your vibration. And when you feel bad, what's coming, you're not going to like when it gets there. Helpful.
Yeah. So I just want to share this story. I was having a wonderful day yesterday, and I was vibing really high, and people in their cars were looking at me and smiling at me and seeing me in this traffic, this woman smiling. And I have this kennel for my dog in my car, and it fits perfectly, which also means you have to jimmy it just right to get it in and out. And it went in fine, and as I went to go get it out, I said, oh, it always goes in fine. It's getting it out that's difficult. And I started to feel the frustration as I'm yanking, pulling. And I stopped, and as I let my hands go, a butterfly came and landed right on the carrier and changed my focus. And I just smiled and pulled it right back out.
So what that's saying to you, that's saying all of the things that we're talking about here, but the most significant thing that that's saying is that in that mild frustration that you felt, you had not dipped too far from who you really are. And so you still had access to things like the butterfly that could cause it to tip that way. But we want to emphasize, it does not matter if you had tipped all the way into despair. It does not matter if you had bent the thing getting it out. In other words, it doesn't matter where you are in relationship with where you want to be, because you can always, under all conditions, get to where you want to be. And once you know that, then maybe you'll stop beating up on yourself for not being where you want to be. And maybe you'll start enjoying the contrast, and maybe you'll start understanding that that's why you came forth. You did not say from your non-physical perspective, I'll go forth but get it all cleaned up before I get there. Feather my nest perfectly and get everybody lined up so that nothing ever happens to me that isn't just the way I will like it when it happens. You never said that. You said, I want the contrast. I want the expansion. I want the opportunity to become more, and I've got guidance that will let me then become or merge with or allow that which life has caused me to become.
So I need to be comfortable being a flake and being in anger and be okay in those vibrations and move it up from there.
You have the ability to go up the emotional scale no matter where you are. And the point that we are wanting to make, and what we so much want you to feel as you are leaving this gathering today, is, it might be good to write this down, it's going to be really important. Where I am is where I am. Where I am is where I am, and that's just fine. Where I am is where I am. Where I am is where I am. Where you are is where you are, but the important thing is you can go to wherever you want to be from where you are. So make peace with where you are. It's so much easier to move from where you are to where you want to be if you've made peace with where you are. That's what helped Esther. She sat with that process in front of her, realizing that the process was there because it's normal to be in a place that you don't want to be. That's why the process exists. So doing the process gave Esther the first step in 2 days of stopping her condemnation of herself for being in a place she didn't think she should be. It caused her to lose her embarrassment about being in the place that she didn't think she should be, and make peace with being there. And oh boy, was that a big step. Make peace with where you are. Where you are is where you are. Did you write it down? Where you are, where I am is where I am. And it's just fine. And from here I can get anywhere. Good time for a segment of refreshment.
Thank you.
We are complete.